out. Anybody can look it up online.
Google it
They
yourself.
spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge wingwing. It was a pterodactyl they shot. So of course these things have been around. Now they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so
what I'm saying is Jesus wrote a dinosaur to work. That's history. It's in the Bible. How to Train Your Dragon.
Historical facts.
And if you don't believe it, do your own research. Pull up Google. You'll find the picture, I promise.
Oh my God.
Thank you, John Gleason, Godless engineer, for gifting me this beautiful moment. Y'all remember when they tried to cancel Steven Spielberg for posing with an animatronic triceratops animal rights activist?
Back it up.
Hit it from the back.
Cloaca. Historical facts.
Eat my ass, BP. You're down here bailing on the rest of us because you don't want to process your grief and shame like a normal person by drinking and mistreating strangers.
No, Rick. It is you who must nibble my cloaca, or bird asshole.
Everyone knows what a cloaca is.
back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It was a pterodactyl they shot. So of course these things have been around. Now they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so
Paul Bunyan was sharing some Funyuns with his pet velociraptor.
Whoa.
Oh, you thought it was an ox? Roll back the clock. Let me knock the socks off. Historical facts.
I didn't cut out. You heard me. Are you a pervert or something? Okay.
What's up, heathens? Sorry, let me fix my... There we go. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologist claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at an apologist from Catholic Answers. Catholic Answers is an organization that hosts live streams here on YouTube where they take callers, much like The Line and all the shows they do over there on The Line and other call-in shows of that nature. They take questions about God. And tonight, we're going to listen to Karlo Broussard actually prove that God exists in less than 5 minutes. Did you know it was that easy? This question that's been debated since the inception of God. I had no idea that it was that easy to prove. Under 5 minutes, the video, let's see, is actually 4 minutes and 59 seconds long, including the question. So it's totally adhering to the under 5 minutes part of the title of the video. So I hope you're ready to become some kind of theist out there, because apparently we're all potential theists tonight, because we might end up becoming religious, or we believe in God. We might become a theist tonight. So I hope that your buttholes are buckled, and if you want to fuck around and find out whether or not you're going to become a theist with this proof that's under 5 minutes, then please stay tuned. All right. Well, we did have Eric Mishima become a shill. Thank you so much there, Eric, for becoming a shill. You're awesome there, bud. If you want to sort of have your voice heard or anything like that in the course of tonight's live stream, please consider sending a super chat. It'll really help us out here. We've had to pause our charitable giving because YouTube is being rather stingy with the ad revenue right now and all the revenue, but becoming a Skeptic Mafia member would really help us out. That, or there's also patreon.com, Godless Engineer, I think. If you would rather support us through there, that's also still available. So, please consider doing all of that so that we can get back to doing our charitable giving. But for right now, that's paused. But I would still like to hear what you guys think throughout the time tonight. Like, we've got Daniel M. Sending in a super chat saying, David says good night. Good night there, David. Hope you have an awesome weekend there, bud. And we will see you next week. Thank you so much, both of you, for always being here on Friday nights. You're awesome. All right. So tonight, we don't have a full slate because Josephus is not here tonight. He's doing something somewhere else. I don't know. I tried to get him to come on, but, he just didn't have anything good to talk about this week. But he'll be back next week, I promise. But we do have some news to cover. We do have some comments to cover before we get into this 5 minutes proof that God exists, which I'm really intrigued to get into because, I always consider myself to be a potential theist because if you can prove to me that God exists, then I might believe that God exists. So, I would hope that most people out there are potential theists. So let's get into the news and all that kind of good shit. I do want to say tonight I've got this cup. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. We've decided to call this my Whippy cup. It's a whiskey sippy cup, and that's what we're going with. For what this is called. It's got like a little thing that I can pull back that way because, I'm very animated. I like to knock my shit everywhere. So hopefully I won't break another very expensive whiskey glass and spill whiskey everywhere. My Rick and Morty pad down here really can't take much more, which is surprising because it's Morty. Rick, it's Rick. He's always sloshed. But anyways, there's that, right? But also, I wanted to point out something that we went up to Ohio to see the eclipse because it was in the path to the total eclipse path. And I always like to get some kind of alcohol, like either beer or whiskey or something like that, that's kind of local to the area. I always like sampling local things. And I haven't actually seen this in any store down here in Alabama, and I think you'll understand why. But I got this what's called Von Payne Black. It's a blended whiskey infused with natural black currant, which is a type of berry, I believe, kind of like a blackberry. Kind of like a cranberry. Cranberry? I'm not a big fan of the taste, but I am a big fan of this whiskey bottle right here because here's the thing. This thing's so awesome. It's got the little gargoyle on the top, but guess what? You can pour whiskey out of the gargoyle's mouth. Boop, there it goes. Sorry, I don't want to add too much more. But so you can pour whiskey out of the gargoyle's mouth, and this is gonna stay in my collection. I'm gonna pour Jack Daniels or whatever the fuck I got in there after this, and this is just gonna be my whiskey glass. I'm gonna just pour it right out of the devil's mouth there. I think it fits perfectly with my channel and how bullyish I'm always being towards other people. I'm just fucking Satan incarnate, I'm telling you. Anyways, all right, so that covers all of that kind of good shit. If you maybe did that put that somewhere? No. Okay. If you want to, you can get a shirt that says citation fucking needed or anything else like that down below. I believe that there should be like a store or shop or something like that down there where you can get any of these cool GE shirts if you don't already have one. I've got several different styles and designs and everything like that. So definitely go down there and check that out. Okay, now that I'm done poorly shilling myself because I'm a horrible salesman. I really am. I'm shit at trying to sell people shit. I actually got paid by Ridge one time to do social media posts, and I produced them, and I thought they were really creative, but they did not want them at all. Apparently, they just never used them, to my knowledge. I mean, they paid you for it, though. Yeah, they paid me for it, so I don't give a fuck what they did with it. Oh yeah, the wallet that I lose all the time right now is Ridge. Anyways, all right, y'all ready to get to the news? I know I'm ready for news. Oh, also I got this for anniversary. Our woodiversary. You know, this is a banjolele. And we set it up and everything. We got this little thing set up in the right area. I even tuned it today, best I could with my tuner. It needs like, I don't know, batteries or something, but I tuned it. It doesn't sound too half bad. I don't know really how to play, but anyways, that's not what we're here for. We're here to listen to some shitty fucking news, aren't we? Today I heard some really shitty shit about America. Hopefully that totally bled all of your ears out. All right. Not that I want to make your ears bleed, but that's what generally happens. Okay, so now for the news. I got to get my notes pulled up. I write my own notes for every news item right before the show begins, so I'm usually scrambling to make up funny shit. Anyways, okay. First up tonight on this dystopian news show is Kevin McCarthy, former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, who's sitting here watching a poor family struggle day in and day out while he does everything he can to make their lives harder, directly stated that he was removed from the Speaker's position because someone resembling Beavis from Beavis and Butthead wanted him to influence an ethics investigation into his sexual contact with an underage girl. We all speculated that this mysterious Beavis-like person was the dipshit Matt Gaetz, but Matt did us the courtesy of directly revealing that he was the one that asked McCarthy to influence the investigation by saying, quote, Kevin McCarthy is a liar. That's why he is no longer a speaker, end quote. To which McCarthy was obligated to say, well, I am rubber and you are glue. Whatever bullshit you fling my way bounces off of me and sticks to your alleged statutory rape investigation. So, I mean, just maturity from the Republican side tonight. I'm glad that got a really good laugh out of you. I'm a funny guy. Uh-oh! House Republicans led by Mike Johnson, seen here trying to decide on how best to raw dog the American public to make shit better for his friends, have a full week of resolutions to address. The titles up for consideration, and I'm not shitting you with this list one bit. 1. The Hands Off Our Home Appliances Act. I don't know if this is directed towards Matt Gaetz because now he's went away from underage girls and now he's just going to fuck toasters, but maybe that's it. The Liberty in Laundry Act. Like, are all of these like what they would consider the women's area? Like, are they trying to like compel women to like, get back to work, women, back in the kitchen in the laundry room? 3rd, Clothes Dryers Reliability Act. Uh-oh. Do I need to unmute? No, you do your thing. Okay. Uh-oh, somebody's on the mic. Refrigerator Freedom Act. The Affordable Air Conditioning Act.
That one actually sounds pretty good on the surface, doesn't it?
Oh, does it?
It does, but do you know what it actually does?
What?
It makes it to where the Department of Energy is not allowed to regulate any energy efficiencies in air conditioners. The refrigerator one is the same thing, but for refrigerators. Oh, okay. So what you're saying is that they're loosening the regulations, which is the same thing that happens, before a fascistic government takes over. Well, I mean, it's not exactly loosening regulation. It's just prohibiting the Secretary of Energy from prescribing or enforcing any energy conservation standards for refrigerators in that bill and for air conditioners in the other bill. that are not cost effective, technologically feasible, which why do you even need to make a law that says you can't regulate shit that's technologically not feasible?
Can you just imagine? It's like, hey, how about we add this in there? If you literally and practically can't build it, then you shouldn't.
Yep, and we need to make laws about that and then call it the Refrigerator Freedom Act. I don't understand this. Also, for other purposes. You can't prescribe or enforce energy conservation standards for other purposes. I don't know what purpose that would be other than to save the fucking planet, but whatever.
Yeah, they don't care about saving the planet because they're going to get raptured.
Yeah.
They're going to fly up to heaven like a hawk.
I just wanted to make sure that people understood, like, affordable air conditioning. That sounds great, right? Mm-hmm. No, it's not about that. That's all. I just came here to say that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and then there's the final one, which I don't know if you read anything on this. It's the Stop Unaffordable Dishwasher Standards Act, which sounds like it does the exact same thing.
But for dishwashers.
Right.
Yeah. Energy conservation.
Right.
And it's not making them more energy efficient. It's preventing the Department of Energy from enforcing or prescribing energy efficiency standards. Yeah.
This is all crazy. I'm glad that you read those. But I feel like we can really only speculate as to what resolutions they had to pass up for, considering next week. Was there not a Freedom Burger Protection Act? What about the Liberty for the 1% Act? Or hey, how about a Stop Persecuting Us Now Act? There is a House resolution that aims to condemn the Republican inaction to address comprehensive immigration reform and border security. All of the sponsors of that resolution are Democrats, by the way. And I'm not sure what the purpose of this could be or could serve other than to officially put it on the books that Democrats actually want to address the issues at the border, and the Republicans who constantly bitch about the problems at the border actively vote against funding for real solutions. Because in the resolution that I'm discussing right now, it actually lists every single time they voted on some kind of act that would have actually improved the situation at the border. Like by providing funding for border patrol agents, for multiple different things that would actually help protect our border and actually improve the situation at the border. Republicans have consistently voted against that and have prevented any kind of actual solution for the border. They actively vote against all of those real solutions. And if they did fund the improvements, then they wouldn't be able to use it to fearmonger the people, Republicans or conservatives out there, so that they could get them to vote for Trump. So it seems to me like Republicans actively do not want the situation at the border to be improved, but they still want to be able to use it to fearmonger their base, their audience. I'm just saying, I feel like most, if not all, Republicans right now are just habitual fucking liars. Every single fucking one of them. It's you would have to work kind of hard in order to convince me that they're not all just lying, because it feels like they are just lying and pointing the finger at Democrats, hoping that they'll rile their base up enough to where they'll be angry enough at the Democrats to vote for Trump again. Which, I mean, that's going to happen no matter what. I'm just saying. Anyways, that's it for Mike Johnson right there, who I don't know if he's like actually considering how to raw dog the American public, or if he's thinking about whether or not to send his porn report to his son. Either one, though, it looks he's really contemplating some kind of decision. And then finally, we've got teachers with GATs. GATs, or GAT is a sort of a slang term for a pistol or a revolver, in case, y'all don't know what that means. I had to look it up. Tennessee state Republicans have passed a bill that would allow teachers to conceal carry weapons in schools. This bill would require said teachers to have 40 hours of basic firearm training. And the reason for introducing this bill and passing it through the Senate was and I don't know if y'all can guess this, but the element of surprise. Surprisery is apparently the reason why we need this bill in Tennessee. State Senator Paul Bailey, who is probably masturbating to some kind of gun magazine right now. I don't know fucking what gun magazines exist, but I do know they exist. I live in Alabama and have had gun nut friends. I literally had a friend when I was growing up that would wear 3 guns on him at all times. He'd have a primary gun, a backup gun, and then a backup for his backup stuffed up his ass. So, you know, he was all suited up to do something, but I'm not exactly sure what. Anyways, so Senator Paul Bailey said, quote, "If you are a possible intruder, you don't know if the person you encounter is an authorized faculty or staff member. That maybe will change their mind about coming." He hopes that Schrodinger's guard here on the school premise is going to prevent people from showing up and killing people. Do you think that somebody, this senator, do you think this senator thinks that somebody shows up to a school and doesn't expect somebody with a gun to show up eventually? Like, I don't know. This feels like a really bad reason to suggest that teachers should be able to conceal carry. I feel like instead of doing what he wants it to do, which would be preventing school shootings, I think that the actual effect of this would be the likelihood for a mass shooter to specifically target all staff and faculty member indiscriminately, like assuming that all of them are carrying weapons. I feel like that just makes faculty and staff members more of a target than students are, at least initially, because you're going to want to take out those threats immediately, right? So you're just putting a big target on the back of every fucking teacher in every fucking school by passing this. Kind of seems like a dumb as fuck resolution now, doesn't it? Or, well, it's a Senate, so it's a bill. Senate bill. This is a dumb as fuck Senate bill now, isn't it? Instead of passing reasonable measures to protect students from mass violence, they instead want to make all teachers and faculty members a target for mass shooters? Way to go, Republicans! You fucking dipshits. Yeah, dipshits. That's it for your dystopian news segment today. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think about McCarthy and Matt Gaetz and their little feud there. Let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about all those House resolutions that are coming next week. Do you think that we really need to take hands off of our home appliances and actually make it into some kind of fucking law that we can burn down the earth with, you know, by not doing things that would help improve our ecosystem, like the earth as an ecosystem in general? And then finally, do you think teachers should be issued guns? Well, technically in the bill, it says that teachers are responsible for the 40 hours of training that they would be required to have, and then any equipment and all of that. The teachers would have to pay, for that kind of stuff, which is, I mean, I could see arguments going either way, that either the state or schools should pay for it, or the teachers should definitely be responsible for it. I think both sides have pretty good arguments for both. So I don't know. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Now, speaking of comments, we do have comments of the day. We do have a few comments to get to, and I actually have the thing. Comments of the day! Prepare to facepalm yourself into next week! Man, that's got like a lot of sound to it. Like, it's loud. Maybe it's just because I don't know how to fucking play it. Bam, bam. Anyways, okay. Y'all aren't here to see me fuck around with that. Y'all are here to listen to some fucking dumbass comments, aren't you? All right. First up on the comments tonight, we've got the crusade against materialism. I don't know why this is a thing, but it's a fucking thing, apparently. Anyways, crusade against materialism. Quote, if God existed, he would be evil because allowing evil to happen is the same thing as causing it. There are so many issues with this take, not to mention what comes next is claiming there is no objective morality. Clutch my pearls and grab my dick. Oh my God, no objective morality? Really? Now, so what he means is absolute morality, like an absolute moral foundation. And typically apologists, Christians and alike, they will say objective morality. You can be objective about your moral foundation, like moral decisions. Like you can be objective about it. Like I can be objective about my own subjective moral foundation, but ultimately my moral foundation is still subjective. Just like the crusade against materialism here. He also has a subjective moral foundation. He just chooses to base his moral foundation in the Bible, specifically the parts that he likes about the Bible, which I don't know. I say he, I don't know how they identify they. I don't know what their moral foundation specifically would be, but it would still have to be tailored because a straight biblical moral foundation is not implementable in a modern society, like whatsoever. So they would definitely have to use their own subjective criteria in order to pick out which, pieces of the moral foundation they want to use to build their own with. So, yeah, this doesn't bother me. But also, if God existed, he would be evil because allowing evil to happen is the same as causing it. That's not actually what I said. This is not a quote. This should be in single quotes because he's just making this up because that's how he understood what I said. What I would have said in the short that I had posted up would be that if the Christian God exists and the Christian God is the tri-omni God, then he would be evil and he could not be good. And so I kind of make this argument that God can't be this tri-omni version of God because of stuff that we experience in our day-to-day lives that would question the omnibenevolence of God. If God's up there and he can, stop things from happening or stop a kid from getting bone cancer, like when they're born or something like that, then you would think that he would do that because he's not risking any kind of harm to himself whatsoever or anything like that. So there's no reason for him to, not stop it. And so that's basically my argument against this whole tri-omni idea about God. Now, if you want to admit that, oh yeah, God's totally a dick, he's savage, and he definitely loves smelling the burning entrails of not only animals, like ripping out their entrails, but he also likes the smell of burning children. Well, at least one time in the Bible, that would be, it's a weird fucking name. Jephthah. He totally pinky sweared about burning Jephthah's daughter, so he obviously likes the smell of burning children, at least, as long as there's a pinky swear involved, maybe. But in any case, that's not what I said. So, way to go for misrepresenting me there, dipshit. Next up, we have this person. So this is, if God exists, he's definitely responsible for this, which you'd have to watch the thing. It was posted a long time ago. I don't know which one it was on, but anyways, this is talking about, those unnecessary suffering that exists. So Made You Look says, cancer originates from sin. Sin originates from man letting it into the world. Therefore, man is free will became the reason. Therefore, man in free will became the reason, not God. I'm sorry you're hurting, but Jesus is the solution, not the problem. God bless. I like how they ended it on a positive note. God bless you because he will definitely fuck you up like 3 ways from Sunday. I'm telling you, 3 ways from Sunday. YouTube's want me to insert ads, but I'm not. I'm a rebel. But anyways, so cancer does not originate from sin. We have natural explanations for why cancer occurs, and that's because of how, organisms on this planet, how their DNA replicates and how cells replicate and how species propagate. Like, it's just a matter of how all of that operates. It entails that mistakes will happen, and these mistakes can be cancer. There's other mistakes that occur that are not cancer, other genetic things, but cancer is one of those possible mistakes. So this is just, it's not because of sin, and I really don't know how practically that can make sense. Like, how is it that sin is responsible for cancer? Like, a woman ate a fruit salad, and God was like, don't you eat that fruit salad, or don't make a fruit salad from that tree specifically. And she had no idea that it was a bad thing to disobey God, because God didn't give her the knowledge to know that it was bad. And so basically God is just punishing Adam and Eve for not just listening and believing him, and doing what he says no matter what. And there was really, it's kind of a catch-22 situation, because they can't know that it's bad, right? And so them violating that doesn't seem like a bad thing, because they don't know what fucking bad is. Like, that means nothing to them. But in any case, from a practical point of view, I don't see how doing that causes cancer. I get that they have an explanation for it. Like, God got angered and sin entered the world because Eve and Adam, they both sinned, right? And so that's how sin came into the world. I get from a story perspective how that works out, but from a practical perspective of how that works in reality, you would basically have to say, well, reality fundamentally operated differently, more magically, when Adam and Eve were around. And then after that point, everything was changed. The fundamental physics of reality basically changed after that point, and that's how sin came in. And I feel like that explanation is far less likely than it's just always happened the way that it's happened. And so organic material reproducing is going to contain errors on occasion. So, it don't make sense. It doesn't make sense from a realistic point of view. I would say that God is still responsible if that God were to exist, because God has the ability to make it stop happening. He created the entire universe, but yet he can't undo some shit. Like, that seems like it makes him not all powerful. So it really kind of depends on how you are defining God here. Because if you're not defining God as being all powerful or in control of all this stuff, then I guess you don't have a problem. But the problem with Christianity is, specifically what this guy is arguing for, this person is arguing for. They would have to be arguing for the Christian God, which means that he is definitely responsible for this stuff. So you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place there. All right, that's it for that dipshit. Next dipshit is Norman Frank, who says pediatric cancer didn't exist 50 ago. Idiot. The explosions is from giving 50 vaccines to a baby. Well, he's got us there, honey. You just inject 50 vaccines into a baby, and then automatically pediatric cancer just pops up, but only in a select few of the population. That's how it happens. 50, I'm guessing years ago, but no, pediatric cancer definitely existed prior to that. Maybe we were able to detect it better and earlier, but pediatric cancer has always been a thing. So I don't understand. Like, there have been bones that have been found with cancer that would have existed far longer than whatever age the person died from the cancer at. So, and that would be bone cancer specifically that we could see that in. But in any case, it seems ridiculous to pin it on vaccines, because vaccines don't have the effect of causing cancer like this guy is suggesting right here. And so it seems really weird. And this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, obviously, because cancer didn't exist 50 ago. Oh, and then he has the audacity to call me an idiot. Idiot. You can't remember to type the word years. Not only that, I can understand, like, just your brain skipping a word, right? My brain does that all the time. You posted it, and then you sat there and you looked at it and you're like, yeah. Because you can edit it, right? You can edit it to add the years in. Like, I would do that. If I noticed it, I'd be like, yeah, years. Sorry, I fucking forgot. My bad. Also, punctuation would help. Like, he's got the one period, but he doesn't have the period at the end. And then, it's like 50 ago, idiot. Like, that kind of runs together. I think a comma needs to be after the ago, because there's kind of like a little break there, and then it's idiot. So, I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to be done with my grammar Nazi shit. Next up is Vladig3995, who says, I never understood why you're sort of so desperate to disprove something that's a comfort for so many people. It isn't the truth? Good for you. You don't have to believe in it. Let people have their myths and gods and let them be happy, for fuck's sake. I'm not a Christian before you ask. Oh, I really fucking wasn't. Like, I don't care what you believe or anything like that. As far as the comment goes, like in the context of responding to your comment, I don't give a fuck. I don't care if you're Christian, atheist, or whatever other kind of dipshit. You're still a dipshit. So, I'm not attempting to like disprove something that's a comfort for so many people. Like, that's not, I guess I don't envision myself as doing that. What I'm doing is I'm responding to people that say, oh, this is evidence. And it's like, well, no, it's actually not. Oh, this is evidence over here. No, that's actually not evidence either. And also people just levying, attacks against me. I mean, this person literally had to choose to come to my YouTube channel to leave this comment there. You could literally just not watch the video, not pay attention to my channel. Fuck, block me. I don't give a fuck. You don't have to come here and make this comment or see my content, but you chose to. And it isn't the truth. Good for you. Okay, so you're perfectly fine with people believing things that are not true. And I mean, I understand the whole live and let live thing. And like, if they have something they believe in that's not necessarily true, but it doesn't hurt them or anybody else, then it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I mean, I feel like he's being way too vague here in his criticism for me to actually make any kind of like response about this whole truth aspect of it. And then he says, they say, you don't have to believe in it. Let people have their myths and gods and let them be happy, for fuck's sake. I'm not trying to prevent anybody from being happy. I'm not going on to a Christian's YouTube page or anything like that and leaving a shitty comment or anything like that. I'm posting on my own channel for people that want to listen to me shit talk, basically. And so I'm not doing anything to anybody. Like, I'm not forcing anything on anybody. But I will tell you that living in Alabama, I am actively right now having somebody else's faith-based beliefs forced upon me by the government. And so, yes, I definitely care about it. I care that they believe in that kind of shit because they are actively forcing that on me. So it has a very real effect. And if people don't understand that, then I don't know what to tell you, because you need to understand that these beliefs that these people have. Yeah, woo, cool, kooky, crazy. He believes that a fertilized embryo is a whole ass person. Okay, fine, I don't care, until SCOTUS actually rules that, oh yeah, now IVF can't be practiced in Alabama because we think that fertilized embryos used in IVF treatments are whole ass individuals. And it's only because of faith that we believe that. That's where it's the problem. And then finally, we have Jeff Aiden, who says, crazy how all atheists spend their time disproving Christianity and no other religion. I have a playlist on my channel here, which this is on Facebook, but I have a playlist on my channel where I'm refuting Islamic arguments, and I also refuting Christian arguments are also refuting a lot of Judaism arguments. So, I mean, I am tackling the big three. Like, abrahamic faiths is primarily what I focus on. So all of my arguments can be used against any of those religions. And then, obviously I'm not I'm not responding to, like Hindus or Buddhists or anything like that, because they're not the ones that are out there making videos that are shit talking atheists or telling people, oh, well, you have to believe in God to be a good person or anything like that. They're also not the ones that are out there being like, evolution ain't real. So, I mean, you have to understand that I don't only exist on Facebook, because here's the thing about Facebook. You have to, basically walk a very tight line on Facebook when you're criticizing Islam, because they are quick, either because the Muslim community on Facebook is so on the nose about reporting content, or Facebook is just incredibly sensitive about Islamophobia, which I'm not trying to knock them for considering as Islamophobia, but the thing is that they have criteria that's so wide set that it actually identifies legitimate criticism of Islam as being Islamophobic. And so you have to walk a very tight line there on that one. And of course, like I said, all of the arguments that I produce on anywhere can also be used against any of the Abrahamic religions. So I am attacking all of them. I just have to do it in a certain way on Facebook because of their crazy ass policies. So just saying, check yourself before you get fucked there, Aiden. Anyways, that's going to be it for the comments tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I didn't. I did enjoy the segment, but I didn't enjoy all these shitty comments that we always go over. But I do appreciate you guys being here and watching. Consider sending a super chat. We do have a few over here that I wasn't able to get to yet. They're member chats, so they didn't pop up. I do have the notifications on, but it doesn't work for the member chats. Trickster says, I'm just here to annoy you. You're not annoying there, Trickster. I appreciate it. Even when I get like pop-ups, of the notifications, I actually love those. I love it when it pops up and I get to like see Brocephus like talking some shit. Those are always awesome. And then we've got Platonic Cuddler says, I'm not regretting the Banjalele recommendation, even though my ears do. Lol. Thank you so much there, Platonic Cuddler. I like it too. I know that y'all's ears are not doing so well with it, but I'm gonna play my Banjalele, so get fucked. It's fine. All right, y'all ready to see Karlo Broussard prove that God exists in 5 minutes? I know I am. Get back. Boom. Ha! Already here. So sorry we're not going to have Brocephus tonight. I know that everybody just loves Brocephus' segment, but here we are with Karlo Broussard. He's going to be trying to prove that God exists, and he's going to do it in less than 5 minutes, including the caller's question. So we're going to listen to the question, and then Karlo is going to come in and provide answers for it. So, all right. I hope you guys are ready for it. I know I am. Let's go, Karlo. My butthole's puckered for this one.
Hi, I'm just wondering what your favorite argument for the existence of God is.
Okay, so it sounds like it's an Australian maybe, or maybe a Kiwi from New Zealand that's calling in and asking, hey, what's your favorite argument for God's existence? And so this would be what would be the go-to argument for Karlo Broussard to give to somebody if they don't believe in God, and he wanted to prove to them that God does exist. We got a subscriber who subscribed to talk some shit. Thank you, subscriber.
There are many different types of arguments that theists employ or use in order to argue that God exists. So you got some arguments, Jonathan, you may be familiar with what is known as the Kalam cosmological argument.
Okay. So the Kalam cosmological argument. I act in the basis or basic form of Kalam. I actually don't have a problem with the argument itself, because all the argument really does is say, well, our universe began to exist. Of course, in the original way that it's conceived, it's the universe came to exist or whatever. They don't consider that, the other possibilities of multiple universes existing, or multiple iterations of this one universe existing. So I mean, I'm not going to fault the original, the Kalam guy, whoever made that up. I'm not gonna fault him for not knowing about those things, but I feel like the Kalam cosmological argument can really only indicate whether or not this universe began to exist at one point in the past. That's the basic form of the Kalam cosmological argument, has that effect. Now, where a lot of apologists go wrong with this argument is that they try to connect the beginning of the universe to God. Like, God had to be the one to create our universe. And so therefore God is this sort of presuppositional necessary thing that's required to understand the universe existing. And through modern science, through quantum mechanics and all that, we understand that that's not necessarily true. That while it's still a possibility, there's a very small, infinitesimal chance that that is what actually happened. Like, there's some God that created this universe. But all indications seem to show that our universe inflating at the beginning of the universe was a natural event that could definitely happen multiple times. And I don't think that there's anything that prevents it from happening multiple times. So, the Kalam cosmological argument doesn't do anything to prove a God. The Kalam cosmological argument only serves to prove that the universe had a beginning. Specifically, our universe had a beginning at some point in the past. And I feel like that's all it accomplishes.
Where philosophers will argue that past time cannot be infinite, that there must be an absolute beginning of time and physical reality.
Well, I mean, I don't know why that's a thing. Like, I don't know why there has to be an absolute beginning for everything. I don't understand what that means practically. I mean, I understand that there's an absolute time for the beginning of this universe, but as far as all of existence, I don't understand what that means prior to the inflation of this universe. Because prior to the inflation of this universe, I mean, we don't, like, as far as our universe goes, we don't have a concept of time. So I don't know what you mean that there can't be an eternal past or an eternal regress or whatever. Also, I feel like claiming that your God is eternal and doesn't need a special creation or anything like that, I feel like that necessitates an infinite regress into the past. God just always was. He just was always there, which involves infinitely regressing into the past. So any criticisms that you would levy against, any argument that includes an infinite regress into the past, you would also be creating a problem for your own concept of God if your God is eternal and didn't come into existence with the beginning of this universe. So this is really just not a good starting point whatsoever for proving that God exists by being contradictory in your logic.
These philosophers will use contemporary science to justify that claim. Some philosophers will try to argue philosophically that an infinite past time involves a contradiction and cannot be, and thus if a beginning, then it would require a cause. If the universe had a beginning, it would require a cause outside of itself.
Right. And I feel like we have explanations for, shit that may or may not have existed prior to the inflation of our universe. Like, in quantum mechanics, we can explain how a universe can inflate from what seems to be nothing, right? So, I mean, we have something outside of it. It's a natural thing that is not a being of any kind. So I really don't understand how he's practically getting to like a being existing. I would think that if a being existed outside of our universe, outside of space-time, how would that being actually think? Like, how would that being operate if there's no time? This is a weird thing that I don't understand. So if you can explain it to me, feel free to try to explain it to me, but I don't understand how anything can exist outside of time and still accomplish something.
And that cause would have to be pretty powerful in order to bring the universe into existence. So it's the contingency of the universe. In other words, that the universe didn't have to be, it began to exist, and it would need a cause or a creator. You also have arguments from contemporary science, such as the fine-tuning. You may have looked into some of those. For these types of arguments, I would highly recommend you check out a philosopher and Christian apologist by Dr.
Okay, so before he gets to this philosopher, Christian apologist there, the fine-tuning argument is really shit because we've been able to run models that show that different universes can come about from different values. And I think that if there is some kind of universe that exists where only these values would produce a viable universe, then I feel whatever values those may be, I feel like those are necessary things that exist and therefore would be part of that initial state prior to this universe existing. So I'm just saying that like he's claiming the fine-tuning argument, but we don't actually know what configuration of these settings that he's talking about would be able to produce a viable universe. Is there one particular setting that produces our universe? Yes, obviously. The settings that are set for this universe are the settings for our universe. But that doesn't mean that another universe can't come into existence with different values. If you have different values, then you have a different universe. And that's it. That's all that we can say about it.
by the name of Dr. William Lane Craig.
Oh my fucking God. William Lane Craig? Really? The guy who thinks Pascal's wager is a good argument? Well, just let me drop my pants and hold my dick, because I can't tell you how good of an argument that is, because it's a shit fucking argument.
In his resources, he deals a lot with these sorts of arguments. Now, Jonathan, there are other types of arguments for God's existence that try and prove, that claim to demonstrate, not just provide probable knowledge that God likely exists, but to demonstrate that God exists. And these are known as metaphysical or philosophical demonstrations. And the arguments that sort of embody this sort of approach are famously St. Thomas Aquinas' 5 ways.
So Thomas Aquinas' 5 ways seems to be the core of all apologetics. And they've been debunked time and time again. Like the argument from the prime mover argument, like there's got to be something at the very beginning that starts everything into motion, basically. But what we've understood from modern physics is that an object at rest is just as natural as an object in motion. And so therefore we don't need a prime mover to start anything, because we can perfectly explain motion and all of that without some kind of prime mover. Our understanding of physics has greatly advanced since Thomas Aquinas' time. So I'm not faulting Thomas Aquinas for thinking this way, because he lived in an ignorant time. I say ignorant, I don't mean stupid. I mean ignorant of modern physics, obviously, because that would be anachronistic to expect Thomas Aquinas to understand those kind of things. But the thing is that we need to change our worldviews as new information is given to us, as new information becomes readily available to us. This new information rules out all of Thomas Aquinas' 5 ways, so you should stop using them. This is the way to correctly resolve cognitive dissonance, is to take in new information and then change your worldview in order to better represent the world that you live in. That's the best way to do it. Now, of course, it's not just, oh, here's new information, let me go ahead and automatically accept it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that this information has been vetted. This information should change your worldview. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to allow it to change your worldview? Or are you going to stay stagnant in your worldview, reject the new information, and just stay with what you previously thought? And it seems like those that adhere to Thomas Aquinas' 5 ways would rather just toss out all of this new information that's been vetted by professionals, by scientists for hundreds of years. They just throw it out and be like, nope, I like my magical wizard man that lives in the sky and has a big white beard. And he looks just like me.
And there are other philosophical demonstrations that sort of are related to Aquinas' 5 ways from the Summa Theologiae. And a resource that you can check out for those kinds of arguments, Jonathan, is Dr. Edward Feser, F-E-S-E-R, and his...
Okay, for one thing, just throwing out a whole bunch of standardized, like, apologetic arguments that would not convince anybody, because when you start deconstructing your faith, you look for... At least I'm not going to talk like I know everybody's, personal journey. I'm just speaking from my own personal journey. When I started deconstructing my faith in God, I looked at what were the arguments that philosophers and like actual experts were using to justify believing in God. And I, of course, ran across from everything that he's mentioned so far, the Kalam cosmological argument, the fine-tuning argument, the argument from design, this Thomas Aquinas' 5 ways. All of that stuff I have definitely come across before, and I have definitely investigated. And so just throwing this out is not proving that God exists. It's sticking with the apologetics that have worked in the past and ignoring the new information and not giving people like an actual argument for God. You're just regurgitating what you've been taught in seminary.
This book, 5 Proofs of the Existence of God. And one of those proofs in that book, which is coming and inspired from St. Thomas Aquinas, and basically, Jonathan, we start with things of our experience that exist, but they don't have to exist. Okay.
What is something out there that exists and has to exist? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb and I'm not able to actually visualize like one thing in this universe that must exist. Like even this universe itself doesn't have to exist. I mean, I guess for me to be here, this universe has to exist. Maybe he's talking about contingency. Like everything is contingent upon one thing except for God. This is just a special pleading argument. So if he's talking about contingency, that, everything is contingent on something else, God having to exist, I feel like he's just special pleading for his idea of God. Because what's one thing that exists and has to exist? I would say that that's just reality. Like reality has to exist in its very basic form, which I feel like the very basic form of reality is like no like laws to govern it. There's no matter or anything like that. What it would be prior to our universe existing, at least. And so I think that in that kind of area, reality just existing however it existed, that would include anything that is necessary for existence, like just everything that's necessary in general. So, and I don't know what that set would be. Like, I can't describe to you what that set would be because, there's no way that we can observe it to actually know what that set would be. But there would be a set of necessary components to reality, and that's what we would label as reality. And so that's a very natural thing. Like, that doesn't have a mind of its own. It's not Gesundheit. You okay? There's that doesn't have a mind of its own. It doesn't have any kind of thinking capability. It's just reality. So he is convoluting, I think, this idea of reality with God. And I think that the only thing that he adds to it is sentience. Like he just presupposes that it's sentient, whereas I don't have that presupposition. I feel like just taking reality as a natural thing is the most likely conclusion because of our past experiences.
And now this is just a sketch. We can't defend all the premises here in this reasoning, but just here's the sketch. The things of our experience, like the tree outside, do not have to exist. The tree outside, there was a time when it did not exist. There's going to be a time in the future when it won't exist. And from that, Jonathan, we get an insight that the principle and virtue of which it is something rather than nothing, namely its existence, the fact that it has existence, the tree does not have existence in virtue of its own essence or nature. It doesn't have it in virtue of just what it is. Otherwise, it would always exist. But since it hasn't always exists, it can't have existence in virtue of its own nature.
Okay, good point. Yes, everything that exists now is contingent upon something else existing prior to that, or something for it to come from, basically. But what I feel like he's getting to is the fact that he presupposes his God is not contingent on anything, which is synonymous with saying God is eternal and God is uncreated. So it's essentially a special pleading argument. I feel like if you're deconstructing your faith, or if you're already an atheist, you should not accept arguments that specially plead for things. Like in this case, Karlo is going to be, I'm guessing, because I actually haven't seen this video. Like I've seen it enough to know that there's enough good stuff in here for me to respond to, right? But I haven't watched it all the way through. I've let the Skeptic Mafia watch it all the way through, but I have not. So this is a very raw response from me here. But basically, it's resolving to this whole idea that God is special and he doesn't need to be created, and he's this thinking agent outside of reality, and that he just presupposes that those things are properties of his God without actually proving that is necessary for reality, for one, or necessary in general.
And consequently, as St. Thomas Aquinas reasons, Jonathan, if it doesn't have existence in virtue of its own essence, then it must receive that existence from something outside of itself.
Well, basically, everything in this universe and everything that we've known is contingent upon other things existing prior to it. That's it. Like it only exists because other things exist prior to its existence. Okay. But God is separated from that. Like God doesn't have to have something to create it. Like I feel like this is just a really sophisticated argument against, well, who created God?
And that leads us to, in a reasoning process, to conclude that there has to be some cause, Jonathan, that, unlike the tree, does not have to receive its existence from something outside of itself, but has existence in virtue of its own essence or nature.
I feel like that would just be reality itself. I feel like reality itself, in its most basic, necessary form, would be the thing that exists. And there's no reason for us to think that it's sentient and it's just reality as a packaged thing. Is this package of necessary items that need to basically exist, and there's no reason for us to give it any kind of sentience. Like there's no reason for us to think that it was sentient. Doubtful Form says, knowing when you were going to run into Low Bar Bill, priceless.
And the reason why that is necessary, Jonathan, because without such a cause, from which the tree and everything like it could receive their existence, you would have no existence. Because everything would be like the tree, not having existence in virtue of its own essence or nature, in which case you would have a bunch of existential zeros. In other words, you would have a bunch of things with no existence, and you would have nothing. But there is something. And so therefore there must be some cause that has existence in virtue of just what it is, and has the power to give that existence to things like the tree.
Well, so he's already kind of begging the question here. And you can tell that he's begging the question by he's giving some kind of agency to this thing that exists necessarily, right? The thing that has to exist in order for us to exist. He's given it some kind of sentience by saying that it has to be able to give existence to other things. And not that, and he's not phrasing it as if this thing has to exist in order for other things to come into existence, because we don't know if this thing is sentient, right? But more than likely it's not. And I say that just because of how nature operates. Like how we understand nature to operate, it doesn't require a God. So the likelihood of whatever this necessary reality is operating naturally, like without the need for sentience, I feel like that's more likely than requiring sentience, because that's an ad hoc assumption. You're degrading your hypothesis at that point by adding this ad hoc assumption that sentience is required. But you can tell that he is already begging the question by implying that this reality, this thing that necessarily exists, has sentience, at least enough sentience to warrant giving things existence.
And this sort of cause is what St. Thomas Aquinas, Jonathan, calls a first cause, or the uncaused cause. Does not have to be caused by another to exist, because it just simply has existence in virtue of what it is. Dr. Edward Fazer articulates this kind of proof in his book, 5 Proofs of the Existence of God, known as the Thomistic proof.
And that's it. So it was far less than 5 minutes, because you had the question, and you had his answer, which is just basically listing off all of these classical apologetic arguments. And then he ends it at 4:38, which is where we're at right now in the time code. And he just basically is like, oh, go read this Fazer guy. He's got 5 arguments that are basically St. Thomas Aquinas arguments, but he elaborates on them or whatever. He maybe updates St. Thomas Aquinas' arguments for a modern audience. And that's pretty much it. And then he mentions the Kalam argument. He mentions fine tuning or a design argument, I guess. And that's pretty much it. Well, I guess the contingency argument, like he mentions contingency. And you can see how he adds this ad hoc assumption that this necessarily existing thing has sentience. And that's an ad hoc assumption. It's a presupposition that he adds on to his argument that actually degrades his hypothesis rather than improves it, because he's adding on something that he can't actually prove. He can't actually prove that sentience is required for anything to come into existence. That is something that you would have to assume from the get-go. And there's just no way that you can do that. So this is ultimately a big old goose egg for me. I do not find this compelling whatsoever to just list off classical arguments and then tell people to go and read some other dude's book that updates classical arguments to where I guess it's better bullshit for you to be able to be fooled by whatever bullshit this person's come up with. So I don't know. This entire thing did not prove God. I may still remain a potential theist, but I am not a theist because of this video. And he did not prove that God exists. So good luck there, Karlo. I know you take calls a lot over there on Catholic Answers, but maybe someday you can formulate a coherent argument for God that's not based in fallacious argumentation. All right. That's going to be it for our show tonight. I hope you guys appreciated it. I appreciate all of you guys for being here, especially those on the vertical stream I see over there that are commenting a lot in the side chat. You guys are awesome for watching me vertically. Vertically, it's a little hard to actually get things visually appealing enough to where, it's a pleasurable experience over there. But luckily I have an amazing wife who lended her awesome insights into how to make it visually pleasing. And I appreciate you so much for that, honey, for making it so valuable. Like, I feel like it's very usable now to where I can cut things out and put them up on the channel. It is. It's very much better than it was. Thank you so much. But we are going to be cutting off from the vertical stream here in a minute. I appreciate all you guys over there. I also appreciate everybody on the normal, wide view. The normal YouTube stream. You guys are awesome too. I appreciate everybody that did a member chat. You guys are awesome for doing that. Doubtful Form, Platonic Cuddler, Trickster, Daniel M, who sent in a super chat. Thank you so much for that. And Eric Mishma for becoming a member. But all in all, for this video, was not impressed. It's all shit that we've heard before. And I feel like apologists really need to up their game in their argumentation and, actually address, like, if you're going to bring up an argument for God, at least address the criticisms to it. I mean, Karlo tried to do that on the spot with the whole contradictory thing that he mentioned, but I don't feel like he actually did a good job of refuting the contradictory nature of the argument. Like, it kind of felt really just sort of like he was trying to brush it off, So not impressed by that, not impressed by any of the references to any of the apologetic arguments. St. Thomas Aquinas' 5 ways are really shit, and they've been disproven time and time again. No matter what, like Cameron Bertuzzi, Frank Turek, or anybody else would say. Elizabeth Richardson sent in a super chat saying nothing to add, just supporting. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much there, Elizabeth. I really appreciate you sending in a super chat. You're awesome. And we are going to be going to the member chats here in a minute, or not member chats, but member comments. If you don't know, the Skeptic Mafia gets to comment and pick. Well, first they get to pick the video that we watch on Fridays, then they get to comment on the video, and then I interact live with those comments. So if you want that possible fucking word am I? Benefit, if you're looking for that possible benefit, then consider becoming a Skeptic Mafia member. Specifically at the mafioso level, that's where you get access to commenting and picking the videos for Friday nights. And so we are heading into an election year, and we are going to try to get back into making the Skeptic Mafia podcast, which is only available to Skeptic Mafia members. So definitely consider becoming a Mafia member, and I really appreciate it if y'all would consider that. Now, let's wrap this up. Enough with the shilling for myself. I always hate trying to fucking sell myself. If you like my shit, you like it. If not, it's okay. I'm fine with that too. But if you will, please go down below. Let me know what you thought about Karlo's evidence, all of the different arguments that he brought up. While you're down there, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. But don't go, everybody, except for the vertical people. We're going to say bye to you right now. Bye, verticals. I'll see you later. Y'all have a nice night. If you want to come and hear what the Skeptic Mafia has to say, you can watch on the full thing. But anyways, bye vertical people.